I've had a lot of failures this week. I basically had to shoot back some cold boys.
Single and you're healthy and you're asking people for money so you can go sailing, you're a weirdo. Sorry.
We're sailing good, bad, and ugly. 3 years ago, we bought our boat off Craigslist for $5,000. I'm Kristen, and this is Matt. We are known to break the rules and do things a little less traditional. Hit subscribe to join the adventure. Thanks to our patrons for keeping us going. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Sailing GBU.
Alright guys, so quick update on our old motor. It's pretty much shot. It's not going to work anymore, so we're basically...
It's not shot, but he gooped the elbow back together. It is repaired. We don't think it's going to last that long, so we're basically going to be sailing our boat as if we have no engine, because we basically don't, but it could work in emergencies.
Yeah, we're back to the old days of not using our motor. I knew we couldn't really use it too much. When we got here, we decided to pop off and live like the other half and use our motor, and it broke after about 45 minutes of that nonsense. So we're basically planning our courses and doing everything like that as if we have no motor. So the winds, the anchorages, spots we're going to, is we're just going to be motorless for the time being.
But today we're going to hit a little black sand beach that's in Vieques. Black sand beaches are hard to come by, and so we're going to take advantage of one today. And just to let you guys know, we just want to shout out thanks to Keeps for sponsoring this video. But let's get on to that beach before the weather turns.
Before the weather turns. Alright guys, remix. You may be wondering why we're back on the boat instead of at the beautiful black sand beach. Well, newsflash, we crashed our drone. So we were trying to get epic shots chasing the dinghy around and we crashed it. So now, I don't know, we were in 10-15 feet of water, so now we're going to have to go back and come back and get our snorkel gear and then go try to find it, because
we need the SD card.
We need the SD card for one. We really don't want to litter for two. So yeah, let's go out there and see if we can try to find it. It's going to be tough, I think. What do you think, Chris, the chances of finding this thing?
I don't know. I'm not happy about it.
We're not happy about it.
It's our first drone down.
Seymour is no more. Sorry guys, Seymour's been with us for a long time, but we'll have like a farewell montage at the end of the video or something. But either way, we're gonna go out and try to find it, so let's go. Alright guys, I wanted to take a second real quick to discuss this week's video sponsor, Keeps. Now, as we all know, keeping your hair is important. One thing I've learned in life from doing YouTube is that the guys with the beautiful hair, you know, they just got it all. They got the best channel. You got Bobby Dew with the perfect hairline, Brian from Delos, gorgeous coif, that guy with the bangs from La Vagabond. They all got it going on with the hair. It's important. Having a nice, beautiful hairline is important no matter what you're doing. I learned something this week. Did you guys know that 2 out of every 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35? The best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have hair left. One great thing about Keeps is they treat you directly at your house. You don't have to go to the drugstore. You don't have to go wait in line for these things. They ship it out to your house every 3 months directly to your door. Keeps keeps it affordable by offering generic, FDA-approved medications for hair loss treatment. Remember, we're trying to keep the hair that you already have, so prevention is key. If you're ready to give it a shot and prevent your hair loss, head on over to keeps.com/sailinggbu. That's KEEPS.com/sailinggbu. You get 50% off your first order, so get over there. Save your hair, save your money, check it out. We also have the link in the description below.
Guys, so it's the next day and we did not find our drone. We pretty much searched all day and I was not in the best mood. I basically had to shoot back some cold boys and I had to call it for that day. But we're back today and I'm not going to be sad about my drone and ruining my entire day. And we're going to go to that black sand beach if I can unlock this. I don't know why it's not unlocking. I think it's too rusty. So we're going to have to fix this problem and we're going to be off.
My gravel parking lot is filled with rundown cars. The smell of city waste is made by city farms. And if I stay up late, then I can hear the sound of people's recklessness back to the broken house. 'Cause I say something to you in hopes you hear them.
Alright, we made it to the beach. This is the black sand beach in Vieques. Is this actually called a black sand beach?
I think it's called Playa Negro, so I think it's Black Beach.
They have a really nice little trail from the road that most of the tourists would come down. We came by our dinghy because we're boat people, so we got the water access, but pretty much it looks like the black sand rains down, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the black sand is from. Any of my Puerto Ricans out there, let me know what made the sand black. Was there a volcano here? Is it just dirt and we think it's cooler than it is? But it actually, like, it has a pretty cool aesthetic. The black sand mixing in with the brown sand and the blue water. It's pretty cool. Black Sand Beach was fun. It was a great time, but now we're back on the boat and Kristen actually had a great idea. The other day we were out snorkeling and she saw some squids and she said, you know what, I bet I could take my Pocahontas gat. She could take her old slinger here.
My underwater huntress weapon, if anyone's seen that video.
The underwater huntress 2 is about to go down. She said, you know, I think I could go out there and shoot some of those squids and we could make some calamari. And I told her, those squids are pretty hard to shoot. I think you might have a hard time. And she said, come on, bro, we can go get those squids. So we're going to run out there and see if we can find some clamaраmis.
Oh my god, guys, I was this close to killing that squid. I only got one chance. There was two of them. I don't know if you could see through the seaweed, but there was two of them. I had my spear so close, and at the last second he went woof, and he squirted his ink out, and he was out of there. I told Matt to keep a lookout, but of course Matt, he's not a great hunter, so he couldn't really keep up. Just kidding. He saw them, but they got away too fast. So to be continued on our calamari hunts. Next time we see one, I'm really gonna get it. I'm not gonna let them slide. It's just really hard to use your manual spear on a tiny little slippery squid. But anyways, it's a new day. I've had a lot of failures this week, and I haven't been feeling my life this week. I'm not gonna lie, but today we are going to try to pull out the sewing machine, and since our engine has not been working and we're pretty much going to be sailing this boat with no engine, we decided it's time to get our stay sail up and running. We had an old Hank-on stay sail, but it kept tearing. We kept repairing it, so when we got our further sail, we had recently a brand new Hank-on head sail, so we decided to cut that down. I know, this is going to be crazy. If you guys haven't watched it, another episode previously, when we were in the Dominican, we called it Franca sail. We sailed multiple sails, or sewed multiple sails together, and it was a hot mess. But today we're going to just cut, we had already cut the head sail down, and now I'm going to sew a hem on the edge. Matt's going to use his, what is it called?
I don't even know, Speedy Stitch?
Speedy Stitcher to put on the main, what are the pieces called? The clue?
The clue and the head?
Yeah, so we're gonna be Franken-sailing again. So we're gonna get this stay sail set up so we can have our main sail and our stay sail and just easily be able to sail into anchorages where you don't have to tack or anything like that. You can just steer the boat with self-tacking. So let's get in there to the frustrating machine called the sewing machine. All right, in our previous videos, you guys have seen my sewing machine. I used it to sail the Dodger. I used it to sew a Bimini, the canvas, the sail bag, but I have the Singer Heavy Duty, so it's still pretty much a normal sewing machine. It's not the cool big boy Sailrights that are really expensive and probably do a way better job, but it still gets it done. I can go through 2 layers of new sail with this, so I don't have the best thread, but you know what? This is a homemade DIY, let's hope this thing works situation. So let's get right into it. That was pretty much a nightmare, not gonna lie about it. It can sew really well through a lot of layers. It's just the thread. We don't have the correct thread and it kept cutting the thread, so we had to rethread the machine pretty much 3 million times. But we sewed the hem all the way down. Now this is the hard part. We need to sew this piece on. So, and this is a lot of layers. I'm gonna try to do the machine, but we're thinking we're probably gonna have to use the old handy sewer. Handy stitcher, fast stitcher, whatever it's called.
There ain't no way that sewing machine's gonna go through all that.
Let's just give it a go. Worst case scenario, we break a needle, and I have extras, so let's get it. Let's get it.
Whoa, whoa. All right, before I do the clue in the head, I'm gonna just size her up to get a look at it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. All right, so I think this is gonna work good, and one of my fears was extinguished. because I didn't remember how much we cut off this sail, and I thought it was just going to say ugly on the side, and I was like, that's going to be hard to explain.
From our old logo.
Yep. Weird, but
That would be embarrassing.
Embarrassing stuff, but I think this is going to work really well. It's going to be better when you just want a little bit less canvas up and the wind's really blowing hard. It's going to be good to have this little bit of an option here.
I was wondering why it was getting so hot in here, and I thought Matt was hand sewing. Instead, he's hot stitching.
They call me Hot Stitcher McGee. I gotta make my holes to lash this whole thing together and bind it up, because there's no way I'm getting through all of this canvas. It's like 10 layers, so I'm just heating up my speedy stitcher and making some pre-holes so that I'll be able to get everything through when I'm ready to put all this together. It's going to save me a lot of time. Plus I'm inhaling these fumes, and I don't know if y'all know, but Dacron smoke get you higher than a kite.
You say that on every scent. Anyways, let's get to work. So the sail's gonna take a little longer to finish, but I need to get out. I need to go get some drinks. Turn Up Tina is coming out tonight because this week hasn't been good for me. It just kept going down and down. I mean, it's first world problems, I know. Losing your drone's not that big of a deal, and missing the shot on your calamari squid, not a big deal. But I think it's the other little things in life going on right now between the boat, the engine, and COVID and all these things that we have to work around. I'm ready to turn up, let a little loose. So we're gonna go out to Lazy Jack's today and hopefully get a few beers. Let's pop off, Matt. Are you ready to pop off?
I'm blasting off. I'm taking like 10 shots straight to the dome
No,
ski.
he's not.
Turn up Tanner.
Because also we're going out because I forgot to take out meat because I was too into using my sewing machine and having a hard time. So we're gonna get this party started. Wow guys, we just uploaded the video a few hours ago. We're not actually ahead on videos, so we just seen all your comments on this week's video, the last one that you've seen, if that makes any sense. And a lot of great information, a lot of comments. I'm surprised at how many people are invested in our story, but I feel like a lot of questions were raised, and we kind of want to answer some of those and also clear up a little more about our engine. I always forget that new people come all the time and subscribe and they don't know really what's going on with our engine. So we're just going to quickly go over the issues with it and then answer all the top questions, and that's going to be our engine update.
So, some of y'all are new, you don't know all the crazy tragedies we have with this motor. Last week it was just the muffler fell off, so that's kind of what everyone's been saying. Oh, just fix the mixer elbow, yada yada yada. But it's not really quite that simple. The biggest problem with this motor when we first bought it was that there was a saltwater, it has a saltwater cooling system, and basically there was a leak in that. So depending on the point of sale, salt water would just be raining all over the entire engine. This is something that I kind of came up with that had been happening, and then I was able to fix that pretty soon after we got the boat, but it had been sitting for a long time between obviously the previous owner and us. So the entire motor is just completely rusted out and decayed. It's not really something that can be fixed, I don't think. I think it's just, it's dire, it's dead. Another thing that the motor doesn't do that it's supposed to do is make power. Our alternator was burnt out and just didn't work. I had a diesel guy look at that and he said, it's just not working. It's not making any power. So that's another thing that hasn't been working. And we could have just replaced that part, but the motor was so beat up, even from the very beginning of when we got it, that I didn't want to spend, a lot of money getting an alternator to work, because you never know when the motor is going to completely break down. Another one on top of that is our transmission, our marine gear. It goes in forward, like when the motor is cooler, I guess the oil in there is cooler, and I guess it's like a cone clutch, so when everything's colder, it kind of sticks together better. So when it's cold, it'll go into gear, but as the operating temperature heats up, it'll fall out of gear, and then it won't go back into forward gear, and it only goes into reverse. So that was another thing that wouldn't really work. And I know a lot of people say you could just take the marine gear off, fix the cones, do some things, but all the bolts are so rusted from that salt water coming over that half the time I've tried to do any work on this thing, you break the bolts almost right away. So I can't really get into that, and it's just something that I decided to let it live out its life.
All right, guys, so let's jump right into the top questions to answer. I wrote them down, and Matt's going to answer them for us today. So one of the big questions we had was, why don't we get an electric motor? Why don't we go the UMA route? Why are we not getting ourselves an electric motor? A lot of people said that.
Well, a lot of people did say that. Before I get too gritty into it, thank you guys so much for your outpouring of the questions and the comments, trying to help us out. Really means a lot to me, and believe me, I try to get to all of them. We got a ton this time, so I didn't get to everybody's, but thank you. It means a lot to us that you guys care about kind of what we're going through. So anyway, electric. Basically, for me, I'm just not a big advocate of electrics. I think we're supposed to do that when we're like sailors, because it's like allegedly green and all that stuff, but it's just not quite there yet. The tech really isn't there, and it's kind of like a novelty, more or less, unless you have limitless funds, which none of us really have here on this channel. The particular brand that they use, the Ocean Volts, are outrageously expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars. So I think the model that I would feel comfortable, I looked at their website, I followed your guys' advice, I looked over there, and you're talking about like 35 to 40,000 euros for the thing that would move this boat. Clearly that's just out of range, way out of range for the unit. By the time you add in additional solar, additional batteries, you may be creeping up to the $50,000 range for a sailboat motor. That's quite ludicrous. And even at that, they don't really run that well. They have the regeneration system with the prop, but let's say you get into a doldrums situation, or you're becalmed, you're not sailing at 6 knots regenerating any of that. If it's stormy, you're not getting the solar. So they're just really not quite there yet. I mean, if you're going to go, let's say 100 miles with your motor, you're going to really struggle to do that with an electric motor. All I've heard from channels with electric motors, it's always a big problem. And these electric motors are new. Any channel with a 5-year-old diesel is super happy about it.
All right, next question. Why can't we buy a motor and freight it here to Puerto Rico?
Yes, a lot of people regarding the Yanmar said, why can't you just buy a Yanmar in the States and get it shipped to Puerto Rico? From what I've spoke with people on the phone, that's something I could do. So we could buy it in the States, get it shipped to Puerto Rico, and we could do that. However, there's like a distributorship law with Yanmar. There's like certain territories where they can ship through. So basically there's talking to someone that I did from Yanmar, they said that I could buy it, but to get it installed, if I install it myself, it avoids the warranty. So I'd have to get it installed by the Yanmar approved mechanic here in Puerto Rico. And basically when I showed up with a brand new Yanmar, they'd probably check the VIN number or whatever and say, where'd you get this? They're not allowed to sell you a motor in Puerto Rico. So it was just kind of a big problem, big bunch of hurdles for me to keep warranties intact and get it here, same thing in time, get it installed. So I couldn't just have my guy throw it in there. So that was the main thing why I couldn't do it that way.
So the next question is, why can't you just rebuild it? Take it out, rebuild the engine.
Hopefully we shed some light on this, showing kind of the up close and personal rusty bits of this motor. I just don't think it's possible. For one, even if I took it to, let's say, I don't know, those guys that are always on like National Geographic rebuilding all sorts of things, I don't think they could do it. It would have to be like a passion project for someone to do this, like on some weirdness. I'm not sure that there's a guy in Puerto Rico, even if there is a machine shop, that would even be interested in doing it. I don't think that they could get the parts that they would need to get, so they would have to be machining everything from start. So just knowing like kind of work that I've got done in Puerto Rico with the paint job, and then other people quoting me for welding and stuff like that, it ain't cheap here. So I'm thinking that's going to run me $5,000 or $6,000 with the work that they would have to do if they could even get it back together. So by the time I'm going to throw that much money, good money after bad, I just don't think that it would make it. All the fuel lines are so rusted that those would have to be replaced. It would just be a nightmare. I don't think someone could rebuild it. It would have to be like NASA would have to come in. Elon Musk would have to come to the boat to put this bad boy back together.
All right. Obviously, a lot of people said, why can't you just fix the elbow, just get a new elbow, just fabricate a new elbow? And obviously we showed why that's not our only problem. So that we already answered that pretty much. And the last one is, why can't you just throw your dinghy outboard motor right on the back of the boat?
Yes, these are things that could work, and they do work. They make an outboard bracket to push boats around. Our boat's a little bit heavier. We're on the 20,000 pounds of boat, so it's a little bit, usually those little bracket transoms are on smaller boats. 27 to 33 foot range. Most of those are on smaller boats. You don't see them on even boats our size. So that's one thing. 15 horsepower really isn't going to push this boat very fast, 2 or 3 knots max. So there's that part, and then there's also being offshore. When you have it mounted on the transom, obviously you hobby horse, like the rocking chair, when you're going over waves. You can dunk your transom, and if you dunk your outboard motor in the water, it's going to, obviously destroy it.
That's for more like coastal.
It's coastal cruising.
Coming in.
Getting in and out. If you're a full-time cruiser like we are, you're not just taking it out on the weekends, that's really not going to work. The way I want to set the boat up, realistically, is to go further and do cooler things. So I would like to have it in my back pocket that I could motor 60, 70 miles if I needed to. If I broke a stay and I'm 60 miles offshore and I can't really sail properly, I'm not going to feel comfortable putting my little bracket down. I mean, obviously there's bad conditions out there. So I want to set it up for that I can motor if I need to go.
Those are pretty much all the top questions that I saw, so I hope we answered some of those and cleared up everything.
Oh, wait, no, there was one more question. GoFundMe. Guys, we're not ever going to do it. There's no way. Everyone's always been too supportive of this channel already, and we love you guys for that, and we appreciate it, but I'm never going to ask you for $1. I've never asked nobody for $1 in my whole entire life. Not saying that's bad if you do, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, we're not throwing shade. We're just not the GoFundMe.
No shade. It's just GoFundMe for me. It's like for your mama's kidneys or something. Like, that's what it's for. Your mama gets her teeth knocked out. Hey, can we get 10 racks so mama can get a girl?
Tragic events, like a car
tragedy.
accident.
You lost your job. Something crazy happened. Like, it's not for, hey, buy me a new catamaran. Like, that's really weird, guys. So, but like I said, again, if you do it, I'm not throwing shade, but straight up, if you're single and you're healthy and you're asking people for money so you can go sailing, you're a weirdo. Sorry, my bad, guys. But it's
you're throwing shade now.
I'm throwing shade. It's awkward to me.
It is awkward.
You go out to dinner with your friends and ask them.
There's different types of people in the world, okay?
Yeah, whatever. But we're not doing it. So as much as we appreciate you guys helping us, and even people send us like PayPal money and stuff, and we do appreciate that. Thank you so much. And obviously we have Patreon. Like, people are helping us with our journey for sure, but to go too much and try to like abuse that it's not nothing we're gonna do. So we can work for the money. We can get our own engine if we need to do it.
All right, guys. So I hope that answered some of your questions, or hopefully most of them, and shed some light on our motor issue. We still haven't pulled the trigger yet, but we did look into some other engines, right?
We looked at Beta Marine, and that's kind of what we're leaning toward doing. It's still not going to be super cheap. It's going to be a chunk of money, but luckily we've been saving. But we have another option too, guys. Should we get the motor, repower our old baby boy that we painted, or should we just like do something crazy? Should we just like buy a boat in Fiji or buy a boat in Hawaii and just go there, get the new boat, and then just start taking off into the wild blue? So should we do something crazy, go do something just nuts, or should we do the safe route, get the new motor in our boat, and just keep ripping through the Carib?
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.